My name is Manal Tamimi. I'm from Nabi Saleh, which is a village participating in the popular resistance in Palestine since 2009. We resist against settlements mainly, but of course against all shapes of occupation. I'm a mother of four, and I'm holding international law master. Me and my family participate the resistance in the village, and we try to raise awareness and educate the Western world about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and in the same time about the non-violent movement in Palestine. Of course, settlements it's the worst shape of the occupation because it's spread like a cancer, and it's about stealing Palestinian lands and lives. So because most of the settlers who's living in settlement in West Bank are the most violent settlers and ultra orthodox that doesn't believe in Palestinian and believe that this is their promised land, and this is their a land without people to a people without land, which means that there's no Palestinian, or there's no only just Arab Jordanian living in Palestine should be exiled to Jordan. So with this mentality, you can't live in the same area. The settlement, it's only 500 meters from the village, so we are sharing everything. So that's why we decided to begin our non-violent resistance against the settlement. Also because that nearly 2/3 of the village land are confiscated by the settlement, which it was built in 1976, and it's one of the oldest settlement in West Bank. We try to defend our rights of living, our freedom, our future, because now in the village we're not allowed to build new houses or even to add to our existence one, because always they are justifying this denying permits that we are expanding toward the settlement, which cause a threat to the settlers' life. Despite this is our land and we have the right to build on it, in the same time the settlers, they keep expanding year after year and stealing more land. We try to give a message that the Western world all the time calling Palestinian a terrorist, because that's how the Israeli media and even the Western media portray Palestinian. So we try to tell them that even if we adopted non-violent resistance, as you always called, the Israeli response gonna be the same, because they will still using live ammunition, they still using illegal tear gas, which contains sometimes white phosphor or nerve gas, or they will still using sometimes they use rockets or tanks. It's not about the resistance itself, it's about being Palestinian. Just holding the name in your ID, the nationality Palestinian, that means you are a target. You're gonna be stopped at any checkpoint, humiliated, arrested, injured, or even shot, as you see recently since October uprising happening in Jerusalem and in Hebron especially, that they just shooting youth, men, women, children for no reason, and after that the easiest justification that it's alleged stabbing attack, which is most of the time is a fake attack. They try to make us, or to make our life harder to live, and to make it impossible to live under these circumstances. So the normal thing, if I'm not allowed to build a house, I'm not allowed to use my water. I have 12 hours a week water in the village. In the time the settlement, which is only 500 meters, have 24/7 water. So I don't have the right to go to pray at Al-Aqsa Mosque, or even to go to the sea, which is only half an hour from my house. So the normal thing to do is that, okay, I want to leave. I don't want to live under this situation. Especially, I want my children to grow up in a safe environment and in a peaceful environment. But in the contrary, what they are doing, it make us determine more and more that we should stay in our lands and we should fight for our rights. And so it's not a choice to leave or not to leave, to go or not to go. It's our choice is to stay, not to leave. Even if we try to go to leave Palestine, where we should go. You could see the refugee crisis all over Europe. Palestinian, Syrian, Iraqi, everybody, they are living in a very inhuman environment and under a very difficult situation. So, and from our experience from 48 and 67, when our grandparents, they had to leave Palestine, we saw how they lived in refugee camps, even in Arab world. For example, in Lebanon, until now, they're still not allowed to work in government. They're not allowed to work private jobs like being a doctor or a lawyer, only just working in construction or labors in factories. Or so it's better to stay in our land, fight with dignity and honor, than going out to live under humiliation and suffering from somebody. At least here you stay in your land. More Palestinian villages began to join the popular resistance, the non-violent resistance, despite it's still a new concept. Non-violent resistance, it began in 2003 after the Israeli began to build the separation wall. It began in Budros, then Belain and Nalin. But it came directly after the second Intifada, which was militarized. So it's very difficult for some Palestinians to believe in non-violent resistance after they lived the difficult situation in the second Intifada, which Israel, they used tanks, rockets, they surround Yasser Arafat in Al-Muqata. And so if this weapon couldn't free us, how come non-violent could free us? But in the same time, some people mistaken the concept of peaceful resistance and non-violent resistance, especially in Europe and in the Western world. They always calling us for peaceful resistance, which we don't want to use, because peaceful meaning that we have to do everything, and in the time the Israeli respond, we have just to stay still doing nothing. Mahatma Gandhi, for example, he was total 100% peaceful. But in the time he was peaceful against British occupation, but he has 20 million Indian behind him. But in Palestine, we don't have anything. We're not a big nation. All Palestinian inside Palestine and outside Palestine, refugees and everywhere, they are around 10 million Palestinian. So it's not this big nation that we can change or have this impact on changing the policy. In the time that under international law, if you are occupied nation, you have rights and you have ways of resistance that you can use. For example, European, they are thinking that throwing stones are acting of violence, which is not, because under the international law we have the right to have militias to fight the occupation, as long as we don't harm civilians. And Israeli army and settlers, they're not considered civilians, they are considered army, so we have the right to fight them. But despite this right, we choose the non-violent resistance. So we have the right to throw rocks. I don't need to tell Samer, my son who's 10 years old, you have to take a stone and go to stand in front of a jeep, because he experienced the night raids. He was waking up at 2 in the morning by a dog, Israeli dog, in his room. He was waking up at 3 in the morning to find his house full of tear gas, and we have to run away from the house in the middle of February, which was very cold. He experienced the pain when I was shot live ammunition in front of him, and his brother also was shot live ammunition, and he saw us bleeding in front of him. I don't have to tell him to fight occupation. In the time every Friday he sees soldiers attacking his father or arresting him or breaking his camera. So it's not that we teach our children, but the life they are living, teach them how to fight, how this situation gonna make you tough and stronger to face the difficulties you are facing in your life. So that's how our children grow up. It's not that we have to force them to participate. In the contrary, sometimes we try to lock them inside the houses, but suddenly you find the child is outside. How come? And in the same time, it's began to be safer for children to stay outside than staying inside, because Israeli forces, they made kind of mapping. They invaded the village, invaded each house, taking photos from 10 years up for all children, and make a file for each child, so they know each house, how many child, how many elders, how many, if there is sick people or not. So they know houses or what's going on inside the house more than we know. They began to target these houses with more children that have more children, that they began to target it with tear gas. So it began, for us, we choose to keep children outside, so to teach them the wind direction, how to go around the tear gas, so they won't be in front of the tear gas, and they will be safe. But from our experience, and this has happened many times in the village, that they shoot one of the houses with tear gas, so sometimes it was very difficult to evacuate people and evacuate children. So nearly they were literally dying because of tear gas. So being outside, it's better than being inside the house. So it's not that we use our children, as Israel always saying that they are using their children to gain world sympathy, because I don't want my child to be to see fear in his eyes. It doesn't worth how much the world I'm gonna gain from sympathy from the world. That we love our children, we love our life, and because we love life, and we love peace, and we love happiness and freedom. That's why we are fighting. It's not because we love to kill. We're not sadists, that we love to torture ourselves. No, because we love to live. That's why we are fighting. During my travels, that they are criticizing children participation, and in the same time they are criticizing our resistance. They try to portray it as a religion, resistance. It's not that. Even in the state, while I was in the state, it was very annoying that some people said even between Muslim and Christian, Muslim are also fighting Christian. So they try to portray that like that we are Muslims fighting Christian and fighting Jew. That's why Israel use all this violence against Muslim because they are protecting Jew and Christian in Palestine, which is not true. Muslim and Christian, we are living in harmony. There's no difference between us because both of us are under occupation. As Muslim, we believe that there is a three religion from one God, and our God called us to respect it. But in the same time, we are fighting the mentality, the Zionism, which is holding the mentality of killing. Zionism is a movement. It created in 1893 during Basel conference, and before that there were Zionism, but not a shaped one. But before that, way before that, Judaism, Christianity, and Muslim and Islam, all these religions, they were living in Palestine in peace with harmony. You could see everybody practicing their religions without any problem, especially in Jerusalem, in Bethlehem, in these holy areas. It's about mentality. Occupation is in mentality, not in the ground, which means that if I'm gonna look at you as enemy, I'm gonna see you as enemy, despite I'm seeing you for the first time. But if I want to see you as a friend, I will welcome you. I will do whatever to make you feel that comfortable and happy in my house, despite I never see you. But in the same time, if I want to consider my own brother as enemy, I will keep fighting him and resisting him. So it's about the look to the other. So that's what we are resisting as Palestinians. We resist this mentality. For example, Itamar settlement next to Nablus, they are one of the worst settlers. They burned the Wabshi family alive. And when in the time they didn't find the punishment, just last night, they tried to burn Ibrahim Dawabshi, which is the cousin of Saad Dawabshi, because he's the main witness in the case. They burned his house, and he was lucky to run away from fire and stay alive with his wife. So these mentalities and these Zionists, we will keep fighting them. We don't care about what the Western world call us. If they called us terrorists, if they called us vampire, we don't care, because anybody try to harm our children, our peaceful life, despite there's no peaceful life under occupation, we will fight them. So I want to stay still in the time I see settlers coming to burn my mosque and just do nothing, because I don't want the Western world to call me terrorist. I don't care. I'm protecting my family, I'm protecting myself, I'm protecting my house. So the last thing I will think about that what they gonna call me. They can call me whatever they want. As long as I keep my children safe, I don't care about others. Because anybody is in my situation, he will react the same. But they are living in a very peaceful life, in a very luxe life, and comfortable, and they have money, they have everything they want, and they just criticizing people living in pain and suffering, living under occupation, losing their hopes, their dreams, their lives, their beloved, their future, their children's childhood, and they call them to be peaceful. I don't want to be peaceful. Come and try to live my life, then you have the right to criticize me. And in the time you are criticizing me, you are calling me to be peaceful, 100% peaceful, not to threatening civilian lives. Be human, believe in humanity. But nobody say anything to these settlers or to this full-armed soldier prepared for war, standing in front of a 10 or 15 years old boy and shooting him live ammunition, or even not in a protest, even in Hebron, just while you are walking next to soldier, they just shoot you. If you want justice, at least criticize both sides. That's why there's no comparison between what we are doing and what the Israeli doing. But Israel cut the tax money from Palestine, the Palestinian tax money. European Union cut their funding. Arab networks, which should be help Palestinian in these cases because it's safety network, they cut their funding. So for 3 months, for 4 months, Palestinians have no income, they have no money, they have nothing to live from. And you could go to any house to find their houses empty, because for 4 months they don't have anything. Whatever we try to do, Israel gonna portray as act of violence and threatening for Israel's life, and the whole world gonna react responding to Israeli call without just taking a second to think, okay, what about Palestinians? Why they are doing what they are doing? Why they are fighting? That's why we began. You can see a huge difference between Palestinian Authority policy and the non-violent movement in Palestine. I can't blame Palestinian Authority because like any other Palestinian, they are occupied, they have lines, they can't go. But they still believe in illusion called negotiation and illusion called two-state solution. This Israel killed these solutions by expanding settlements, by stealing more lands, by building new settlements, by killing Palestinians. Everything Israel do is killing the peace process, killing the negotiations, and killing a two-state solution. So that's why we, as a non-violent movement, we try to take our rights by non-violent activities, and to keep fighting. In the time that Palestinian Authority fighting in the political level, we don't believe in political level, so we are fighting on the ground. And that's why it's popular, that everybody can participate, everybody have his own opinion, everybody has his rule that he had to take. Everybody has a part. For example, if Samer, he has a new idea for a new activity, another way of resistance, we will take it, because if he suffer from occupation, he have the right to give his opinion. That's why that neither PA or Israel could control the non-violent movement. And in the time they try to arrest leaders who they are saying they are the leaders of the popular resistance, it's still go on, because actually there's no leader. Everybody is a leader in a way or another. I think it's already make a change. For me, there is a positive and negative things. One of the best things that it makes people realize that even if not participating the resistance, everybody is facing death, facing being shooting or arrested for no reason. But in the same time, the way children began to think about these attacks, about martyrdom, that if I'm a martyr, I will be a hero. But they don't think that if I am a martyr, I will die, and I will have, then after, I will be a hero for 1 week, for 2 weeks, then nothing, nobody gonna remember anything about me. This is one of the things I'm against. It's not children's responsibility. It's not their responsibility to free Palestine. It's not their responsibility to participate in resistance. Their responsibility is to take care of themselves, to enjoy their life as much as they can, and our responsibility to teach them how to be strong and how to handle life under occupation. And when they grow up, when they become adult and mature, they can choose their way of life. But in these stabbing attacks, we see children just dying without even coming closer to the soldier. And we give a new justification for the Israeli to kill not just children, also to kill wanted or people who they are thinking they are kind of leaders, to give them a good excuse to execute these people under this justification, which is a stabbing attack, which is not true most of the time. So why we should give a weapon for the Israeli to kill us while we can stop it? So I'm with people who's calling for raise awareness between children. These attacks, it's need somebody mature that he can take decisions in seconds. But on the body level, he has a strong strength to attack these soldiers. And in the same time, death is not our goal. We fight for life. We're not fighting for death. So our goal is to live and to enjoy our life. It's not to die and be a hero. We could be a hero in many ways while we are still alive. So why we have to waste our life? One of the good thing about this uprising, that big image for Palestinian political party that some people, they consider as a godness thing, and they want to pray for this party. This image broken, because none of the Palestinian party, not the left, not the Islamic parties, not Fatah, nobody of them supported youth, especially at the beginning in October, November, December. It was in its highest level. Nobody of these parties supporting these youth, neither give them medical aid, or if they are arrested, to give them legal consulting. Of course, the Palestinian woman is one of the most important elements of the resistance, the Palestinian resistance. And if you follow the history of Palestinian resistance since the occupation until now, you will find women who were capable to do things even men couldn't do. For example, in the 70s, Layla Khaled participating in hijacking, Dalal al-Mughrabi participate an attack from Lebanon in Israel. And the history is full of Palestinian women who served years and years in Israeli jail because of their activities. You can't separate men resistance. You can't say there is a men resistance or women resistance in Palestine, because both of them are creating the body of the resistance, or shaping the body of resistance. So it should be together, so they will be able to continue. But in the same time, in my belief, that the Palestinian woman, she's the most important element. First, because she suffered double the man. First, she has her own man suffering. If he's a husband, a son, a brother, a father, in case he was injured or arrested or even killed, and in the same time she has her own suffering because she also have been targeted by the occupation. They arrested her, they killed her, they shoot her, they make her disabled. So she had to handle with both situation, and in the same time she has to raise the fighter or the new generation that they gonna continue the message of resistance, and they gonna create the new generation that they will lead to freedom. So if she's weak, the whole family gonna be weak because everybody in the family take his strength of the mother. The father most of the time they are out of the house, even if the mother is working, but she still, when she go back home, she spent most of her time with her children. Even the husband, if he saw his wife crying, for example, or in pain, he also will feel that he's weak and he can't do anything. So everybody take his strength from the mother, or and that's why this put a huge or a heavy on her shoulder, that she should be uh, the one who's not controlling the family, but recharge the family with power and with strength and with determination to go on. From this point, the Israeli realized this, and they began to target Palestinian women, especially since October uprising. You will see that nearly every day, either there are a woman has been killed or arrested, and sometimes more than one woman in the same day, because they try to make kind of collective punishment for everybody through the woman. And it will, by killing or attacking women, they gonna break the spirit, because our culture, we are a Muslim culture. At the end, there is, I don't want to say limitation, but there is a restriction kind of for the woman. Women can participate non-violent resistance in different ways. But in the time the Israeli realized this, and realized the role of the women in the popular resistance, they tried to break it. For example, in the first Intifada, the women rule is nearly was in the same level of the men rule, and there were many Palestinian women who has in jail for sentenced for life. But when the first Intifada ended, and Oslo came with everything that it brought, women or Palestinian fighter, women fighters, they began to create organization, women organization, instead of keep fighting. So now you will see, if you go to Ramallah, for example, you will see around 60 or 70 women organization led by at least one or two women have been for a very long time in Israeli jail, and they used to be one of the Palestinian symbols of resistance, doing nothing but documenting violation. But in the ground, there's no room for these women. So what we are trying to do that to make more women participating within the resistance, and we can't do this unless we empower the women and strengthen them in the ground. For example, I can't come or I can't go to Susia, for example, and asking one of women to participate in an activity in Hebron. In the time they don't have any money or they don't have any income. So what we try to do, or what we are thinking to do, we didn't do anything yet, but to work with this organization, women organization, that, and if you don't want to participate directly in the popular resistance, at least you try, instead of workshops and instead of conference and instead of all these thousands and thousands of euros and dollars going for nothing, you can make projects, for small projects for these women, and this way you will empower them, and in this way they will be able to participate. So the best way to make women participate in the resistance, it's, as I said, it's not only about throwing rods, but also to make this project. The woman in Susia, if she stayed in her land, and even if you brought one sheep for her, and she were able to make cheese and yogurt and labani and sell it, so she will stand, and she won't think to go to any place else. Jordan Valley Hills, for example, who are also facing to be transferred to, and to put them in one area. If you help them to make any kind of project, they will have the power and the strength to stay. Unfortunately, most of these organizations are looking for workshops and conferences, and traveling around the world. Despite I'm not saying it's not important, it's very important also, and it's another way of resistance, but it's not everything. Instead of um, send a group of women, like 6 or 7 women, one or two, they can take the message, and the money, the rest of the money, it could go for a project for one or two other women. Uh, I hope that we will reach that point that each Palestinian woman all over West Bank and Gaza Strip and even in Jerusalem, she gonna participate the resistance in a way or another. And this way we will create a new generation, a new way of thinking, uh, a new methods for resistance, and a new way, because now we became like copying ourselves, and we began to be expected. The Israeli know that Manal, if she goes for Belain, she will, or if she go this direction, she's going to Belain to join their protest, for example. So they're gonna stop in the middle. So they know everything we are doing, and they, so now we need a new idea to refresh ourselves and bring and to succeed, because if you are expected and the enemy is one step in front of you, you will never achieve or reach the goal you want to reach. So we need I hope that more Palestinian women can join the resistance and realize the importance of resistance, because occupation is, under occupation, you are already losing everything, even if you're not participating. So why I have to lose everything while I'm sitting at home? I just want to say a few words that please stop being brainwashed. Uh, you have minds. It's easy to educate yourself through internet. Anything you hear, you just have to Google it, and you will find everything. You got the power as nations to change your politics, and if you believe in your humanity, you should support others' humanity. So in the time you are living in freedom, we are losing our freedom. And in the time your children enjoying life, our children losing their life. So we still human, and we have the right to live. So if you support, most of most of Europeans tend to be vegan and vegetarian because they believe in animals' rights. And we are human, we're not animals. So they should support our rights before they support the animals' rights. One, two, three, four. Occupation no more! Occupation no more! 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel the fascist state! Israel is a fascist state! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free!